everyone. Are you bored through? We're bored through. And here at Bored Through, we're all about the gameplay. And today we're continuing with our strategy guide for Rome Total War, the board game. Today is a very simple strategy, one which most players are probably going to be really familiar with, as it's a very intuitive one and one that comes up and it's very obvious. And it is one that I'm calling simply the wall. And the wall in particular appears when we actually take a look at this region up here, or not so much the region actually, but the boundary between the regions, in fact, because as you can see, these mountains here separating the Iberian Peninsula from the rest of continental Europe forms a bit of a wedge there, a bit of a bottleneck, which is very difficult to get through. But as you can see, in particular, this is going to be useful for the Carthaginians and for the barbarians. So to show you what that looks like, what it could look like from turn one, so you could have a Carthaginian army coming out onto the board here, and then they've got the opportunity where they're able to move up. What they could do is that they could move into this region here for one, and then here for two, because they've got to go across this river. But then they'll have to stop. But actually, what might be better is that they go one, two, and they take this region, and then three. And then what they're able to do from there then is that as they're moving up, they're able to actually conquer these regions, so that in the end you've got an army that has made that move and has managed to conquer those regions there. What's likely to occur though, when Carthage is making that move, is that you'll see a barbarian army starting up in here, and they've got the opportunity to make a very similar move coming down towards the south. So they're able to move down to here and then move over here, capturing the regions along the way. So that what ends up happening is that you have these two factions standing off against each other, and that's what creates the scenario that I refer to as the wall. The wall, it's kind of symbolic in the sense that this is an actual physical mountain range that separates these two. Um, the movement across these is not necessarily that problematic, especially if you've got a force march card. But more in particular, the way that this comes into play is actually just in the sense that because it's only two regions wide, it's a very easy point to defend. And from here, if you put down barracks and walls, maybe into one and left an army in another, then it makes it really difficult to get around. One of the reasons why you might want to do that, particularly as the Carthaginians, is it walls the barbarians out so that they're able to take advantage of the Iberian Peninsula there. And that's something that I refer to as the citadels. That's a future strategy that we'll talk about. If the Carthaginians are able to block the barbarians out of there, then that means that they're able to just take that as a stronghold and to really hang on to it. But on the flip side, what it also does is it stops from Carthage from being able to move up towards the north, meaning that the barbarians have really good are in a really good position just to be able to hang on to this area up here. In particular, when you're looking at where their homeland is, you can really see that they'll have this area really strong, really locked down, keeping the Carthaginians out, so that they only really have to worry about the Romans coming in from the east. The other thing that it does is that it offers the opportunity for Carthage and the barbarians to make a bit of a deal, to decide, are they going to want to try and make a rush here if this has been established? And the answer is likely to be no. So if this is established, then it actually means that there's a really good opportunity for diplomatic relations to open up here, and for these two armies to actually be able to move away from each other. So you really don't want to have armies bogged down at all. The barbarians want to be able to move this army and maybe mobilize it to go off against the Romans. Meanwhile, Carthage wanting to do pretty much the same thing. Perhaps what they want to do is they want to put this army out onto a fleet and to move it and to perhaps move it here, take the Baleatrix, and perhaps move it into here to Corsica and Sardinia. That's maybe the moves that they want to take part in, or maybe even just to be able to move their army back down to the south and take advantage of the regions that are down there. But the advantage of the wall in this case is it just offers that opportunity for these two factions to move away from each other. So instead of it being a place where armies stand off, it's actually a chance for them to break away because of just how strong and obvious this is. How difficult it would be to shift if you were to go in and to try and conquer those regions. The opportunity to then move away from each other and to focus on Rome, to focus on what the Greeks are doing, to focus on other territorial gains in other places is really, really powerful. And so, whilst it is perhaps one of the most obvious strategies, it is also one of the very best because of what it allows the barbarians and the Carthaginians to do. The Romans can potentially come and take advantage of this. I mean, you could imagine a scenario where perhaps you have a Roman fleet come and they either come in here to the on the northern side or here on the southern side, particularly if the Romans want to establish a foothold here in Iberia because they've got some ambitions of being able to move in here and to take advantage of that. Or maybe what they want to do is they want to come in, capture regions down to the south, create a bit of a wall that they can then use to attack the barbarians to the north. Or the other thing that they could do is that they'll actually use this as a passageway so that they're able to get access to um, the Atlantic here. And the reason why they might want to do that is because if they also move a fleet over to here, then what they'd be able to do is they would be able to take advantage of the wall, which I've talked about in past videos as well. They'd be able to move their army up and down this area and inflict a lot of terror. Just in terms of being able to attack the barbarians to the north, the Carthaginians to the south, maybe come round and take some of the regions over here. So that's some way that the Romans might be able to take advantage of that. Potentially the Greeks could do that as well, but then what are the odds that they could be kind of locked out in terms of being able to resupply? So very dangerous move, very unlikely moves. It's the barbarians in Carthage that are going to be able to make the best use of the wall here. So whilst it might be a point of tension for these two factions, I actually see it quite the opposite. It's actually a way for these two factions to say to each other, okay, you've got the bit of the north, I've got the bit of the south, let's just keep it this way. Let's go our separate ways and let's focus our attention in other parts of the board. So very much would recommend in the first move coming out and doing that. What could happen though is that we could have a scenario where actually the barbarians get a little bit cheeky. So in particular, what they might do is on their first turn, actually, what they may decide to do is that they can make their way down. So if you imagine the army is starting up here, and instead what you might find that they could do is that they can actually make their way down, conquer this region here, and that's one movement, and then two movements into here. If they've got a force march card, they could even make a move over into here. So they have the opportunity of actually penetrating down into the Iberian Peninsula and being able to establish a foothold here. Now from here it gets a little bit tricky because whilst they have the opportunity that they can expand in many, many different directions, which is great, um, The only thing about that is that they've got the Carthaginians down here to the south, who are going to react and are going to probably move up towards the north. And that's when you're going to find yourself in a very interesting situation whereby the barbarians introducing here very different battle lines, and so this is going to create an awful lot of chaos if they decided not to respect the wall and instead actually just to move on into the Iberian Peninsula. So if you've got a really daring barbarian player who thinks that they can take advantage of chaos, maybe up against a Carthaginian player who's hoping that this is actually going to play out nice and easy over here for them in the Iberian Peninsula, this could be a fantastic way of being able to disrupt um, the status quo. But it is something that you've got to establish from turn number one, and very likely that Carthage is not going to give you the opportunity to do that. So barbarians got to be going before Carthage if they want to actually break the strategy of the wall. And we will look in a future video at options for how to make this work. So that's just another possibility there. But thanks for listening to that, everybody. Please give this video a like if you have enjoyed it and you found it useful. Also consider subscribing so that you're able to get these straight into your feed. And if you're feeling generous, you can send this to a friend so that they're able to take advantage of this as well. But if you want to be the smart one who has got all these fun, crazy ideas, then go ahead and keep it to yourself. And apart from that, I'm just going to say bye for now. We are Board Through, and here at Board Through, are all about the gameplay.